Okay, what am I doing in my garage today? So I am going to walk through steps of how to take off the rear hub of your Ford Model A, remove the rear bearings as well, and inspect them and grease them. Now, there are already videos, I saw at least one online that shows you how to grease the rear bearings and put them back in, but it didn't, the harder steps are to take everything off and apart. So that's what my video is here too. So I'm going to focus on that part. Now why would you want to do this project, right? So while there is a grease fitting, a Zerk fitting on the back of the axle, I'll try to show that later. It's not always reliable in getting the grease to your rear bearing. Especially if it's been old or those seals wear after a while. So if you were to take the hub off, this is an old hub I have as in a comparison here. Inside here are bearings, right? And there's a ring that holds on the outside. And inside there, you want to, if you've never done this before, you want to take off your rear hubs, inspect them, make sure there aren't any broken or worn parts in your bearings, and then repack them with grease and put them on. Once you've done that and inspected your bearings, you're probably good for many years. You have to keep pulling your hub off every time. But I'm sad to say I've owned this car a few years. I've never pulled the rear hubs and inspected the bearings. And I'm about to go on a tour, so I think now is the time I better do that and not find out on the tour that my bearings have potential problems. Now, it's harder to remove a rear hub on a Model A than a front hub. So here's an example of the front hub. And the main difference, well, I mean, there's a few differences, but the main difference is this rear hub has a groove, and this groove here is where you need a special puller tool to yank this off. Unlike the front hub, you can pull the front hub off with your hands. That's not hard to do, and it's easier to get to the bearings on your front hub. Tools you will need for this. I'm going to learn a bit on the way, so you'll learn with me. Doing a little bit of research. For parts, assuming you can reuse your bearings. Bearings are expensive. I've already looked those prices up. But the ring that holds it up, here's an O-ring for Ford Model A rear hub, and this holds in the grease. These are cheap parts. This is like, I don't know, like $5, $6. This is $2 or $3. These are cheap. So if you're gonna do this project, just order, a pair, one for each side. But it doesn't hurt to have these around if you need them. I did not buy a new set of rear bearings, because I'm hoping, when I inspect them, they're in good shape and I can reuse them. If not, I'll have to buy those as well. Additional tools to get that ring out. Flathead screwdriver, little pick. I heard, from what I read, the hardest part is getting this O-ring out. So this is getting this ring out to get everything else out. That's probably the biggest effort. Everything else should go easier. And then might need these vice grips, we'll see, to hold the ring in place as I pry it out. We'll find out. Now, I've used a general hub puller in the past to get off a rear hub. And the way those work is they have 2 or 3 arms. They have little claws on these, and they hook behind here. And then on the end of your axle here, there's a screw, and when you hook it in, as you screw in the nut on the end of the axle, it pulls it off. But you want to try to get a special purpose-built rear hub puller, because you don't want to damage, if you damage the end of this axle, if you mushroom it, mess up the threads, because this is on an axle, right? It's on a tapered fit. If you mess up the end of that axle, you got a much bigger problem to worry about, and I don't want to deal with that. So a long time ago, I bought this special hub puller. I like it because not only is it purpose-built, but it stores well and easy. It's good for taking on tours. It just easily packs. And what I'll do is I'll take a, it comes with some instructions as well. I'll shout out the company, Vintage Precision. This is not the only kind of hub puller, but I like it because it's good quality, like very good quality, I think made in the USA. It's got directions, and it's purpose built for this job. What I'll do in the next video is show you how this goes on and pulling it off. So again, you want a hub puller that will protect the end of your axle because you don't want to damage the axle as you're pulling the hub off. One more thing to note, my hub looks a little, this is a steel hub, right? It's not a cast iron, that's a separate project. This stops, this works, so like my brakes are fine. This steel band is something I'm told that was put on earlier years to keep the hub from expanding due to heat, because it's steel, right? So if it expands too much when it gets hot, your brake shoes aren't gonna stop you anymore. So that's why this looks a little bit different. So anyway, let me go to the next step of my video. Also, for safety, make sure you got a jack. Use jacks under your cars always. Don't die working on your cars. Okay, here's steps using that rear hub puller. Again, call out to vintageprecision.com. This is not the only type of rear hub puller, but I like it. It works for me, so I'm following the directions. So the first step is thread the thrust plate nut onto the axle till it bottoms and back it off a half turn. So this is the thrust plate nut. So it goes right on your axle here. Spin it all the way till it bottoms. And then back it off a half a turn. Next step, it says position the half shells. So these are the half shells. The groove, let me explain how this works. See this groove in here? It's going to grab, do you see the groove here on your rear hub? It's going to fit right behind there, and that's going to be your pulling action to pull it off. So it says position these half shells with the thrust nut bolt. So this is what they call the thrust nut and the thrust bolt. So how this is going to work is this flat part, when you tighten it down, this flat part is going to go on this protector plate here. It's not going to mess up the end of your axle, so it's protecting it that way. So anyway, what you do is I'll put one half of the shell here. There's a groove right here, so let me show it in the camera. There's a groove right there. It just sits right in there. So there's one half of the shell. Here's the top half of the shell. And then the next step, it says slide the lock cover over the half shells. And so this is the slide cover. It only goes on one way. It's tapered on this side, beveled. So just slide that on. So it holds everything in place now. So all you have to do left, all you have left to do is it says get 2 1 1/8 wrenches. I might use a socket on this and a wrench on this one. So what you'll do is, as you tighten this down, oh wow, look at that. So folks, I said it's hard to pull the hub off. I don't know if this is good or bad, but I'm actually pulling it off by hand. I don't know if you can, let me back out here. So this was not expected in my video. All right. So if it was on there tight, you'd have 2 wrenches and you just keep tightening this down as you pull it off. Mine is coming off. Actually, well anyway, I don't know if that's good or bad that I can do this by hand. That may be a sign that there's too much grease in there. It slides off so easy. So I'll take this now. At some point, yeah, actually look. So that's probably off. So anyway, I wasn't expecting to film this part. Then you just unscrew everything, take this off, take your shell off, take this plate protector off. I try to get that early. Take this off, Got an O-ring. I don't know if that's the right kind of washer on there. Anyway, we'll take a look at that later. And it looks like I can just pull this off. Oh, I got my my emergency brakes are on. I have to, my hands are greasy. Make sure you take your brake off or your hubs won't slide out. So let me go do that real quick and then pick up from here. Okay, after releasing the emergency brake, hub came off okay. This is the rear bearings in my hub here. The good news is there's grease, and doing a quick check, I don't feel anything broken or pieces, so that's a good sign. But this grease on the, I'm pretty sure this axle, this is supposed to be clean and dry, not greased. My understanding it's the tapered fit, even though there's a key here. This will pop out, don't freak out about that. This is a key to guide your hub on here, but my understanding is this is supposed to be dry, and it's a tapered fit, meaning it kind of like, I don't know, anyway, just look up tapered. I probably need to clean this off. I'll look at this. I don't feel any pitting or anything that looks bad here on, this looks like the outside race, I think, and then I quickly looked at the brake. I think a long time ago I looked at the brakes originally. So anyway, these are the shoes with the liners on them, and they look okay. Like the rivets aren't coming through. It's not wearing down. This is the emergency brake, and this is your brake. It looks okay. I don't see any wear there that's getting down to the metal. So, and again, my brakes were fine before. They weren't squeaking, so I'm not too concerned about my brakes. So anyway, next step is, let's see how hard it is to pop out that rear bearing and take a look at it. So I had a feeling removing this O-ring from the rear hub would be difficult, and yes, it is proving difficult. So here's what I'm doing. So first of all, safety, make sure you put safety glasses on. From what I've read, that spring can just like pop out and you don't want to get hit in the eye, so wear some safety goggles. Got a small flathead screwdriver and this pick. Now what I did was I put the vice grips on the opposite end, so you get the ring like this, right? And so you're going to work on the ring one end and hold down the other end, because if you don't, what happens is the ring will just move. It'll pivot, it'll move inside the hub, and you won't get as good of a grip to try to pry it out. You will also know the way it's cut. This has a cut going on one angle and a different angle. So when you're trying to use a screwdriver to pry it out, I'm doing this end where the cut is like at an angle like that, because I can get the screwdriver like tip in like that and pry it up. On the other end, there's no angle like here. I can't get behind there. So I don't know why it's cut like that. What I really don't know why is, you know, they could have just punched a hole in here and you can then grab it with like a pick or something. That would have been the easiest way to pry it out, but it's not that way. And let me show you what I'm doing so far. I'm not successful yet. What I want to do, let me make sure I'm not in the way. Yes, I do. I learned from previous videos not to block myself, so let's try this way. Oh, and by the way, it's just sitting on a, I got 2 pieces of wood. Just get it flat on a surface. You want a good flat surface as you do this. So what I'm doing is, so I got the screwdriver on this side, so I'm trying to pry it up, and you gotta like put the pressure down and to the side, because this will keep sliding off. I'm already scratching this, but it's not damaging it. So what I'm trying to do is pry the ring out and then use this pick to get behind it. I'm not having a lot of luck, but let me show you like what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is, if you can you see it? It comes out a little bit like that. And then when it comes out, I need to try to get that pick behind there. this could take a long time. I'm not going to film this part. If I find a better way, I'll record it. So anyway, that's what I'm working on next. Okay, this took a while, but I made a little progress. I want to explain what I did. So I had this larger screwdriver. I went to a little smaller flathead screwdriver, and what I did was I put it in there. Sorry, I couldn't record it. I put it in there like this, and I was prying a little bit, and then with the pick, with the curved end pick, I was able, there's a groove in here, I was able to just get behind this freaking O-ring and then hold it like this, and then just put that little flathead screwdriver just enough to pop it out. So it's holding there right now. So I think the rest of it will be easy. What I'll do is I'll just keep working it around. And you definitely want the vise grips here because that keeps the ring from moving around. So I'm just going to basically work it around. At some point it'll pop out, but oh my god, that took so much work. So let's pick up in a second. Yeah, so once you get that, where's my spare ring? Once you get, sorry, not prepared. Once you get that little tip out of the groove, that's the hardest part. You gotta like do what I said earlier. Once you get that up and you got a little screwdriver to hold it out of the groove in place, then what you do is the job becomes a lot easier. You use 2 flathead screwdrivers and you just work your way around until it pops out. Now you can see this end here is still in the groove. There's pressure here, so this spring is gonna pop. Should I leave it on or should I risk my camera? Let me try to work it. All right, I'm taking a risky bet here, folks. Let me try to work it around a little bit more. So I'm doing this. Okay, I'm gonna pop this. Oh, okay. Not too bad. So it's popped out. So I think the rest of the way, what I'll do now is release that. Oh, look at that. Oh my god. That was that was a lot of work. Anyway, so now the next step is to pull the, let me get to that next. Let me clean up. Okay, so here's the next challenging part is getting this grease ring that holds the grease inside the hub, getting it out. So what I read, now real quick, I tried to just kind of, it's in there tight, and I just, for laughs, I kind of put this on here, and it's a tight fit. It's not that smooth. So, and you can see this is dinged up a bit. This is surface, this is metal on the, so this is pretty sturdy, but the rubber, in here is a rubber part, the seal part that holds the grease in, and you don't want to, I thought for a second, well, maybe I can get a screwdriver and pry it out, but you don't want to do that and damage the rubber here because then you lose your seal. So there's 2 ways I read to get it out. I'm going to try the easy way first. The hard way is you drill 2 holes here, put some little sheet metal screws, and pull it out. That would pretty much ruin this grease seal. The other way I'm told, so I'm on a flat cement surface, put a piece of cardboard down, and the weight, the idea is the weight of the bearings when it slams down. What you're going to do is drop this from a height, drop it, hopefully it doesn't crack my driveway, and the weight of the bearings will supposedly push that grease seal out, or at least enough to get it out. I don't know if it's going to work, so let's try it. Okay, ready? Okay, driveway looks okay. Did they come out, move out? That looks like no movement at all. Let me try one more a little bit higher. No, it's not even moving. Okay, one last try. Watch your feet. and that is not even coming out. So I'm gonna have to do the hard way. So again, the good news is these parts aren't that expensive, but I'm gonna ruin the old one to get it out. So let's do that next. Okay, I think I might have found a clever way to get that grease, that rear hub grease seal out, maybe without damaging it, or at least not having to drill into it. So what I did was I looked at, for my replacement part, I looked at, this will be the outside and this is the inside that faces the bearing. I was looking and this is actually metal. So my thought was, here, now when I pull, I know the top of the rear bearings, there's like a flat metal ring around it. So what I was thinking is, if it's in the hub like that, and I'm able to like get a screwdriver under there, and if I flip this over, it would theoretically, I'll hear from the critics out there, but theoretically it would be pressing on the metal. So if I could pry it out that way gently and not dent it or anything, that would be a way to get it out, and it wouldn't hurt the rubber piece in here. So can you see, like, it would potentially, the rubber piece would not get pressed on, or the screwdriver would not touch the rubber seal in the inner part if it is metal on the other side. I don't know what that part looks like. So what I did was I get a big old screwdriver here. So this is pretty big. And then I also use a set of channel lock pliers, because what I'm doing is I'm putting it in there and I'm not prying it, I'm actually turning it. So you want like a big flat head. This is like the biggest one I have. So if you can see here, it's actually, it popped up here, it's working out. So what I'm doing is you work it in there between the bearing, and because it's pressed in there tight, I use the channel lock pliers to get around the handle here to just slow, and I'm using sorry, it's not elegant, I'm using my foot. Sorry, my foot's gonna be here. But that is starting to pry out. So if I go around, and if I go around this side, one more time, I was going to drill it anyway, so this might actually get it out safer and potentially preserve it, right? So here, one more try. At this point, no, it's it's in there pretty stubborn, so I got to use this method here. One more time. All right, so this is making some progress. I might have to get something bigger in here now, but let me work on that a little bit more and see how it goes. So I switched from my big flat head. I needed a bigger flat head, so I have a chisel, and so that nobody freaks out there. I'm not banging the chisel into the hub. I'm turning it, and these don't really have handles, but I was able to get a crescent wrench, and so I'm able to kind of just pry it out this way. And again, just the flat head here, I'm just slowly prying that out, going around, and I'm almost there. All right. Ah, crap. I'm pretty much there. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So let's see if my assumptions were correct. Let's flip this over. Ooh, that's all dented. All right. So I probably can. I don't know if you can see here. Let me get a rag and clean that up. It's not in good shape, but that's why I bought the cheap part. Well, the good news is the rubber part looks okay, but all the metal around it has just gone to hell. So I did have to destroy it to get it out. but luckily the replacement part is cheap. But that seemed to get it out okay. And then the next step is I'll pull the bearings out. Hopefully they come out easier once this grease retainer is out. So, okay, I'll skip to the next part. Okay, the last part is to get the rear bearings out. It's one unit. It could be hard to get out with your fingers, but at this point it's easy. You just flip over the hub and it should just slide right out. And these are your rear bearings, so I'll inspect these. Again, you want to look for any chips or wearing. I got to clean up the grease. It should feel smooth, not rough. There shouldn't be a lot of slack in here. They should be consistent. I need to do a more thorough inspection, but it seems at first pass these look good. So I'll just repack them and put them back in. There's lots of videos about how to repack bearings. It's not hard. Wear gloves. Just pack the grease in there. Make sure it's everywhere. One other final tip. Make sure the part of your hub, it's hard to see, where the axle touches, in there where the keyway is, you see that? Get the grease out of there. That should be dry. So that was greased on when I pulled it off. You want that dry so that hub is on that axle and not potentially sliding around. Anyway, so that is probably the long story of how you get the rear hub bearings out of your Model A hub. Good luck working on your Model A's out there. Hey, one quick bonus clip here. As I cleaned up my bearings, I see a Ford script. So sometimes original parts on the Ford Model A had a little stamped Ford logo, and I got one. So I think that means this might be the original bearings in this hub. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. I'd point that out.